Hello, I'm Jonathan Dunsky, author of the Adam Lapid Mysteries. On this channel, I talk about crime fiction that I read and enjoyed. And today I'd like to tell you about The Moving Target by Ross Macdonald. The Moving Target is book one in the Lew Archer series. Lew Archer being a private investigator working in California beginning in 1949 when The Moving Target was published, and then onwards in the 1950s. And I believe the series had 18 novels in total. Ross Macdonald is considered to be one of the giants of the noir, hard-boiled private investigator genre. And the Lew Archer series is his main body of work, the one for which he is most highly regarded. And so this is sort of a classic series that fans of the genre should really sample, at least, if not read all the way through. Now, I've read a few of these novels a few years ago, but I just listened to the audiobook of The Moving Target again. And so now the story is fresh in my mind and I can tell you about it and what I thought of it. So the story begins when the crippled wife of a rich businessman in Los Angeles hires Lew Archer to find out where her husband had gone. Her husband, Ralph Sampson, has disappeared, and she doesn't want to involve the police at the moment. She just wants him found and returned to her. Now, their marriage is not a good one. Sampson has a tendency to go off on trips, to be with other women. So the whole atmosphere in that house, in that relationship, is pretty bad. Now, Sampson is also an alcoholic, and when he drinks too much, when he becomes intoxicated, he's liable to do some crazy things. For instance, he just gave a mountain that he owned to this guru, on which this guru can now build, or has built, a sort of, not exactly a ranch, but a sort of a place where he can hold his sermons and his gatherings. And Sampson, so one of the motivations behind finding Sampson quickly is to avoid him doing any more of these reckless stuff. Now, apart from Mrs. Sampson, Ralph Sampson also has a daughter from a previous marriage called Miranda, and she is in her early 20s, very attractive and flirtatious, and she is not really that close to her father. She calls him Ralph. For instance, she does not call him dad, or does not speak of him as dad or daddy or something like that. She just calls him Ralph. And there are another few characters in that household. There's a maid, there's a sort of a Filipino butler, and there's Alan Taggart, who's Ralph Sampson, air pilot. He has a private airplane. So Taggart also lives in that complex. And Miranda Sampson is actually in love with Alan Taggart, but he is not in love with her. So there are all these different emotions and interactions in that household, in the Sampson household. And the family attorney is a guy called Bert Graves, with whom Lew Archer has a previous relationship when Graves used to be a prosecutor. So Sampson disappeared just one day after he took a trip on his plane to another location in California, and there he ordered a limousine to take him to a hotel, but he never, but somewhere along the way he basically disappeared. Now, when Archer visits or visits a place where Sampson is in the habit of spending time in, sort of a holiday ranch, he has his own bungalow there, he discovers that Sampson is into very odd things. The whole room is covered in red tapestries, and it seems like Sampson was deep into astrology, and Archer discovers a picture of a woman that he recognizes that sort of deals with that sort of thing. Now, and from then the story progresses and becomes gradually more complex and complicated as more characters are introduced into the plot. Some of them quite unsavory, some of them even criminal, and Archer has to sort of peel back a lot of layers in order to discover what happened to Samson, who was involved, what was their motivation, and so on. He becomes a bit more involved in the family life and their interactions as well. So it becomes a rather complex story in a short time, because the book is not long. In audio, it's under 7 hours. Now, Lew Archer is in his mid-30s, divorced, and he works as a private investigator, and he is quite good at it. He is a man who can use his gun, can use his fists, his physicality, but he's not just prone to do it. He doesn't look around for chances to beat someone up. But he's clever and tenacious and has a sort of his own sense of justice, his own moral fiber. Now, the language in the book, the prose, is quite literary. There are a lot of interesting and beautiful phrases and descriptions. And if I recall correctly, all of the Lew Archer books are written in a similar vein. So if you're a person who likes their prose lush and sort of vivid and imaginative and literary, this should be right up your street. Now, the mystery is quite interesting. There are some red herrings and there are some twists, and the overall story and the way that it ends is all quite satisfying. So I enjoyed this book quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to rereading the rest of the series, which I remember is even better. At least some of the books that I read are even better than this one, The Moving Target. But since this is book one, I believe you should start with this. I'll leave a link in the description below to where you can find a copy of The Moving Target. As I said, I listen to the audio, but if you prefer to read, you'll find, as I said, a link in the description to where you can find a copy of the book in that format. Let me know in the comments if you've ever read any of the Lew Archer books or other Ross Macdonald novels. Thank you for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.